Well, this video is for Math 70, and this is the sample test for our first test. Okay, the sample testing that I'm going to go over is going to have the same number of questions as your test that's coming up. Excuse me, it'll have the same types of questions, but slightly different questions. So it'll give you a real sense of what you can expect to see on the test itself. So let's get started. First off, we have these simplification problems. So problem 1, 2 minus 5 times 3x minus 1 plus 8 times x minus 4. So remember that we have to do the multiplying first. Distribute the 8 into the parentheses, distribute the 5 into the parentheses, and we're going to leave this 2 alone for right now. So this will be 2 minus 15x plus 5, and then plus 8x minus 32. So we've got the minus 15x and the positive 8x, and that makes negative 7x. And then 2 plus 5 is 7. And then that 7 minus 32 would be negative 25. So there we go, negative 7x minus 25. Problem 2, 7 times 2x plus 3 minus 4 times 5x plus 1 plus 12. Very similar to the first problem, except that you don't have this tricky part at the beginning, okay? And so we just need to distribute, and then we'll go through and combine the like terms. So this will have 14x plus 21, and then minus 20x minus 4, and plus 12. So 14x and negative 20x will give us negative 6x. Let's see, 21 and 12 is 33, and then minus that 4, we'll be left with positive 29. Okay, so those are the first two problems on simplifying, and now we'll look at the substitution problems here. So problem 3, let's see, we've got z minus x squared over yz minus x plus xy. And this may have shown up on one of our quizzes as well, but it's still a good problem to practice with. And it is similar, like I said, to what you'll see on the test itself. Okay. So this one I'm going to need the calculator for. Let's see what we get here. So first I'll substitute our values into this expression. So the z, negative 0.83, minus the x, negative 2.57. And remember, this minus sign comes with the formula. This minus sign comes from the value of x. And this minus sign comes from the value of z. And that all gets squared. Now we've got to simplify this inside here before we do any squaring. But I'll get to that in 1 minute. Let's see, y times z. And then minus, again, this minus sign is in the formula. And then the minus sign here is from the value of x. And then plus x times y. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether we start on the top or the bottom, but we need to do some simplifying. And here, we'll start inside the parentheses. This negative and negative make a positive. So let's see here. Negative 0.83 plus 2.57, 1.74. And then on the bottom, 6.22 times negative 0.83, negative 5.1626, And then minus minus again, that'll be plus 2.57. And then negative 2.57 times 6.22, negative 15.9854. Okay, so we're getting there. Let's see, I think I'll go over in this direction. So 1.74 squared, 3.0276. And then on the bottom, negative 5.1626 plus 2.57, negative 2.5926, and then minus 15.9854. Okay, let's see, where are we rounding to here to the nearest hundredth? All right, so 3.0276 divided by negative 2.5926, and then subtract the 15.9854, and round to the nearest hundredth, we'll have negative 17.15. And there we go. Okay. Now let's look at the equations. Problem 4. You can see we've got this tricky thing at the beginning again. 5 plus 3 times 2x minus 4. This multiplication is going to happen first. Don't forget about that. Equals 9 times x plus 1 minus 7. Okay, so we have to distribute that 3 into the parentheses, and then we have to distribute the 9 into the parentheses, collect our like terms, and isolate the variable. All right, 5 plus 6x minus 12 equals 9x plus 9 minus 7. And you've got some different choices here. I'm going to just collect our like terms. 5 minus 12 is negative 7, and here 9 minus 7 will be positive 2. Okay, now I'll move the 6x over to here. Don't lose that negative sign. And then we'll subtract 2 on both sides. 3x is negative 9. And then divide on both sides by 3. So x is equal to negative 3. All right, let's see. Problem 5. Let's see. 5/12 x plus 2/3 equals 7x minus 3/4. Okay, so here we just want to collect our variables. I'm going to move this one over to here. So I'm going to subtract on both sides by the 5/12 x minus 5/12 x minus 5/12 x. So we'll have that 2/3. 7 minus 5/12. You've got calculators. You can use the fraction functions on your calculators. You can turn this into a repeating decimal, but be sure to have a lot of digits on it. Let's see here. I'm going to just make the 7 into 12ths. So that's going to be 84 over 12. 84 minus 5, 79 over 12, x. And if you divide this in, you'll find that you get 6 and 7/12, which is what you get when you subtract 5/12 from 7. Now we'll add the 3/4 to both sides. 79/12 x. Over here, you got to add the 2/3 and 3/4, and again, you can do it as a fraction on the calculator. You can do it without a calculator. You can do it as decimals. This one's repeating, so do keep a lot of digits after your decimal point. Let's see. If I'm going to do 3/4 and 2/3, so I'm going to turn them both into 12ths. So that'll be 17/12. and then I'll multiply on both sides by 12 over 79, or you can divide on both sides by 79 over 12. It's the same thing. The 12s cancel, and x is equal to 17 over 79. If you did this with decimals, then let's see here. 17 over 79, that would be approximately 0.215. Okay. All right, so that's problem 5. Let's look at problem 6. Okay. So, negative 0.60 times 15 minus 0.35 times x plus 2 equals 0.85x. All right, so negative 0.60 times 15, that should be negative 9 minus 0.35x minus 0.70. So I have to distribute inside here. Here I just multiplied these two together to get that negative 9. Here I distributed that negative 0.35 into the parentheses. All right, let's see here. I'm going to add the 0.35x to both sides. Negative 9 minus 0.7, negative 9.7. Over here, this is going to be what, 1.2x, right? And then we've got to divide on both sides. Negative 9.7 divided by 1.2. That x by itself. And what do we get here? Negative 8.083 repeating. There we go. Okay. Let's see here. Problem 7. 7 over x plus 3 equals 2 over x. So with these proportions, right, if you've got a fraction equal to a fraction, the way we talked about solving these is to cross multiply. 7 times x equals 2 times x plus 3. Distribute that 2, and then move it over here, move that 2x over here with the 7x. 5x equals 6. X is 6/5. That's also 1.2. Either answer is correct. All right. Let's see. Oh, now we've got some inequalities, which work very much like the equations do. All right, problem 8. 5x minus 7 less than or equal to negative 15. So we can add the 7 over here and then divide on both sides by 5. X is less than or equal, you can call it 8/5, negative 8/5, or negative, what is that, 1.6. Okay. Problem 9. X plus 5 less than or equal to 10x plus 17. So let's see, I'll subtract the 2x on both sides. I'll move the 17 over here. So 8x on this side, what is that, -12, and then divide on both sides by 8. X is greater than or equal to -1.5. Problem 10. This is a compound inequality. And so rather than just doing things in 2 different places in the equation, now there's 3 different places. So if we're going to add 2 here, I've got to add 2 to the 15 and add 2 to the 6. So these cancel out. There's 5x, 17, and 8. And then the last thing I'm going to do here is divide through by 5 in 3 different places. This is going to be, what, 3.4, and over here, 1.6. Okay, that's problem 10. Now problem 11, I've been doing this in class, and I talked about it a little bit, but I forgot that there was this question on the test, and it's kind of a simple question, but it is this graphing on the number line question. So, problem gives you a number line like this, indicates where 0 is, and asks you to graph x greater than -6. You don't have to get too detailed in where your -6 is going to be. If you just put it to the left of 0, there's the -6. Now, remember, if this is just a greater than or less than, then we put an open circle around the -6. The x is greater than -6, so that's all these numbers out this way. Okay? So I'll talk about this more in class before we have the test. Because like I said, I forgot that this question was on there. And it's just it's a simple little 1-point problem, but I do want to make sure that people are prepared for it. So that's problem 11. Okay. Problem 12 is an absolute value problem. And the fundamental idea here is that an absolute value gets split in half. There's 2 possibilities. 3x minus 4 could be +1, or 3x minus 4 could be -1. Did I write that? No, 11. There we go. Equals 11. +11, -11. Okay. All right, so now we just have to solve these 2 equations. So add 4 to both sides. 3x equals 15. And x equals 5. Over here, add 4 to both sides. 3x is -7. And so x could be -7/3. So there's 2 answers to the absolute value problem. All right, problem 13. K equals m plus ay, and we want to solve for y. So these work just the same way that our numerical equations do. First, we want to get the piece that has our variable by itself. So we're going to move this m over to the other side. So that'll be k minus m over there. And there's our ay still on the right-hand side. Now, just like we did here, so it's like we moved the 4 away from the term that had the x, and we moved the m away from the term that had the y. Then the next thing we do is we divide through by the coefficient of the variable that we're interested in, which in this case, the coefficient is the a, the variable is the y. So now we've got y equals k minus m divided by a, and that's it. That's the answer. Okay? And that's it on this sample test. Like I said, your test will be very similar to this. Same number of questions, same types of questions, but slightly different questions. If you are confused on any of this, if you want to talk about any of these concepts, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in class.